Let's now look ahead of this weekend's coronation of Britain's King Charles. Well, for the very latest, we can cross live to Buckingham Palace and speak to Rice Chief Correspondent John Cookson. John, it's good to have you with us. What more can you tell us about last night's security alert?
Hi there, great to be on Newsday. Well, last night's security alert, let's be absolutely honest with you. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was 1, to be honest. A guy known to police for having mental issues tossed around 4 shotgun cartridges over the wall at Buckingham Palace behind me. When he was arrested, he had a bag, and in the bag was a knife. He didn't have a gun. So he's getting the treatment that he deserves at the moment, and whether he'll appear in court or not, we don't know. But it was clearly a man who had mental issues and was known to police. But that said, look, we're 4 days away from the coronation, and the security here in London is absolutely intense as we look away from the front of the palace down towards Victoria. Now, normally this area will be packed at the moment with tourists from all over the world. But this area at the top of the Mall is completely sealed off, as indeed is Green Park and St James's Park around. To get to where I am at the moment, there was a metal wall, a metal barrier at Green Park Tube Station. You have to go through that with the security, and then there's another walk about a quarter of a mile where there's another metal wall, and then we come to the broadcast area where there's a sort of metal detector thing. So look, security is absolutely intense, and the biggest security operation certainly this century, and bigger than for the Queen's funeral recently. And elsewhere there are thousands of police on duty, and on the big day on Saturday there will be tens of thousands of soldiers, airmen and sailors on duty. Above the skies will be a no-fly zone, and as you can imagine, the security will be extremely tight for this event.
Indeed. Now, away from security matters, can you tell us about the mood at the palace ahead of Saturday's historic event?
I'd like to say that everyone's, joyous, and I'm sure they are behind the scenes. And in Clarence House, just to my right there, Charles and Camilla will, of course, be getting ready for Saturday. And normally speaking, there will be thousands and thousands of tourists, but they are not here at the moment. They're being kept away from this sensitive zone, if you like. But in London itself, London is heaving. You can't get a hotel room. Prices, of course, have gone through the roof. I was down at Greenwich on the River Thames yesterday, where we were watching a Navy destroyer coming in to monitor the airspace over London, and everything is really wrapped up with maintaining security around this area of the capital. But elsewhere, the capital itself is booming with tourists. It's said that the government isn't commenting officially that the security operation is costing about $120 million. But experts are suggesting that the number of tourists that it's bringing into the capital and other generating expenses, the coronation itself is going to raise about $2 billion, which is a massive amount of money.
Indeed, John. Now, what will be the highlight of Saturday's ceremony?
The highlights, it's going to be a day of pageantry and glamour and glitter and state coaches and crowns, tiaras and all of that. But strangely enough, the most poignant and to me the most important moment will come in Westminster Abbey, when King Charles just before he's crowned, he will be anointed. The Archbishop of Canterbury will anoint Charles with oil from the Mount of Olives. Now, this is a ceremony that's been carried out over centuries for incoming monarchs, but it's a moment so poignant and so Charles at one with God, if you like, that it's such a private moment that a screen is going to be thrown around, an embroidered screen, and we won't see it happen. We'll have to imagine the Archbishop of Canterbury dripping these drops of oil on Charles's head before the actual crowning. But earlier in the day, the coach with Camilla and Charles will leave Buckingham Palace at around 10:20 on Saturday. They'll travel down to Westminster Abbey in the Diamond Jubilee state coach. Now, the state coaches are famously uncomfortable, but this one was made for the Queen, especially in 2012, and is particularly comfortable for the journey to Westminster Abbey. It's air conditioned. It's got pneumatic suspension. They will glide, frankly, from Buckingham Palace down the Mall, turn right down Whitehall, and then to Westminster Abbey. I've talked a little bit about the ceremony, which begins at 11 o'clock, and it will all be over by about 1 p.m. when Charles and Camilla will emerge as King and Queen, because Camilla will, at the moment, is Queen Consort. After the crowning, she'll be Queen with Charles, and they'll travel back to Buckingham Palace in the gold state coach, famously uncomfortable, built in 1763, and the Mall itself will be packed, absolutely packed with cheering crowds. Some of the crowds have already started to camp out to get a good spot in the Mall for Saturday. So the whole event will end at around 2 o'clock when, on the balcony behind me, this famous balcony in Buckingham Palace, the entire royal family will wave to the crowds, and there will be a marvellous fly-past of RAF planes at around 2:15. These are all London and Nigeria times.
We definitely look forward to that coronation, and we know you bring us the latest as always. Thank you so much, Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson, for your time and your analysis.